Welcome to Business Partners,
a podcast for couple colleagues building a business and life together.
Through interviews, we'll share common struggles and stories unique to partners living and working side by side.
Listen in as we learn what works and doesn't work when working together as a couple.
You ready to do this?
Let's get down to business. Today on Business Partners, we're joined by BAMFoods Catering, a Nashville-based catering company specializing in unique, elevated events.
Find them online at BAMFoodsCatering.com or Instagram at BAMFoods_catering.
Braiden and Annie Mallon, welcome to the podcast. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us.
We're
super
so excited. Us too. You guys have a unique story I'm anticipating, because you have quite the quiver full of children.
Half a dozen.
Yeah, half a dozen. We were like, oh, we're going to have 6 kids. And it just clicked. And it was like, wait, it's a half dozen. So we're
good.
Yeah, we're on the cook's guide of too many children.
That's a lot. That's
a lot of kids.
Did you blend a family, or are those all?
No, all us. Here.
She did it. Yeah,
well, that's incredible.
All 6 together. We got married first. Then we started having kids.
Yeah.
I quit drinking a long time ago, and just we realized how much we really like each other, and over and over and over. And forever.
Well, I brought up the children first because reading on your website, it sounded like that was a big motivation behind starting your business. So can you tell us what your business is, and then kind of the inspiration behind it, how it got started?
So we're a full service caterer, but really it was born through the pandemic of I'd always done side gigs and things when I wasn't in the restaurants. So we already kind of had a little clientele, and
we had a group of friends who would hire us and basically have parties at each other's house. And
nice.
So we had formed an LLC, and we decided to call it BAMFoods Catering, just as a combination of our name, Braiden and Annie Mallon. So that's where the BAM comes from. And when the pandemic hit, we had this tiny little group. We had 100 followers on Instagram. And Braiden was working at 2 different restaurants. We had 5 children then, and both the restaurants closed. He stayed at one place in Franklin at 1799, and it was just a ghost town.
Because it was part of the hotel they were open. So there were still people staying there because it's like a apartments and hotel. So we still had people to feed. But I went and did a couple shifts by myself. I was in a huge hotel restaurant kitchen, and it was like,
we knew we knew that there was probably not going to be any income coming. Like, we knew that was going to close, and our kids were home from school. We're like, what are we going to do? And I said to him, or he said to me, I don't know who said it.
She said it.
We said, we're going to set something that we can make cheap and easy and that most people like on our Instagram page, and just see what happens. And we did lasagna the first day, and Braiden makes lasagna. Everybody loves it. Even people who don't like lasagna like his, because he doesn't.
My kids like it, and that says a lot because they're kids.
Wait, how can you not like lasagna?
Well, some people don't like the cheese in it. Like, Braiden doesn't use.
I'm a no ricotta lasagna guy,
so that makes me like it.
It makes a lot of people judge me, and then they eat it, and they're like, oh, "Okay." And
wow, I think I would love that.
We only had enough money and only could get enough product to do 4 orders.
And let's really push on the money.
The money is scary. When we think about it now, it's really, really scary. But
because Annie, you weren't working. It was you guys were relying on Braiden's.
I've been a stay-at-home mom for a very long time, for 10 years. I've had little random jobs here and there. But no, I there was nothing like, what was I going to go do? Like Amazon delivery? Like, And our number 5, Collier, was still he was a baby still. Like, he's 4 now. So, he was little during COVID. And we had $260. That's it. And we didn't know if more money was going to come, if they were going to do the stimulus or not. Like, we didn't know if any of that was going to happen. And we were terrified. And we're like, what can we do with this? So we didn't know
if we should buy toilet paper, if we could find it, or like guns, just because the time
you didn't know.
We bought food.
So we bought the food, and we were like, we'll do the 4 lasagnas plus the groceries that we need for the house. And like, we'll just see what we can do. And we posted it, and then we just like sat there and wait. Like, we texted everybody we knew. We sat there and we just waited and looked at each other like, but what if nobody orders it? And I'm like, by like 11 or 12, probably, I was like, oh my gosh, no one's going to order it. Like, what are we going to do? No one's going to order it. I could cry thinking about it. But shout out to Teresa Nichols, my friend from high school. She's Teresa Furlong now, but she's always going to be Teresa Nichols to me. Texted me, and I hadn't talked to her in years, and said, hey, I saw you're doing that. Can I get one for me? And can you take one to my neighbor across the street?
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Text me your address. Can you Venmo me?
Goosebumps. That's amazing.
And I can't even remember who the second order was, to be honest, but Teresa was the first. And we sold those 4 that day, and we took that money. And I think he made chicken pot pie or something similar the next day. And then the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. And we just kept doing it.
Wow.
And at that time, grocery stores, you couldn't just go stock up.
No, he had to go to multiple grocery stores. We felt like we were like,
So everybody
was the system.
Everybody was staying home. It was I was waiting to get pulled over every day and then be like, what are you doing out? You're not.
Well, we would literally like, part of our shtick at the time was like, we'll do a no contact delivery, and we would, mask up, glove up, go up to somebody's door, ring the doorbell, and like run back to the car, like wave to them from the car, and like,
never saw. And when it came about being weeks and months of us doing it, there was a few folks that I fed more than a dozen times that I never physically met in a window. Really weird times. Like, Mo became king because you didn't have to touch any money. You didn't have to do this. So it was like, we went from being like super scared and like no money to be like, we were getting paid daily as opposed to a restaurant salary 2 weeks and figure it out and budget.
And we went from
we were like, this is cool. We just grinded. I mean,
and it got to the point where we would have to say, we're sold out. Because we literally, it was just the 2 of us delivering.
Oh, we still mention we were cooking at home?
Oh yeah, we were doing it out of our house. And our kids were there with our horrible internet, and they couldn't homeschool. They couldn't do what they were supposed to do.
Did they help you in the kitchen?
Sort of, but that leads us to like the big scary that happened, where we posted a reel. And I just reposted it the other day with new stuff attached for this reason. And we've never talked about it. We don't talk about it, but we'll talk about it now. Somebody saw this video of Braiden cooking in our kitchen at home. And in one brief second of it, because it's a time-lapse video, in one brief second of it, you see our oldest child come and sit next to Braiden. And he's working, and she's just sitting there. She doesn't touch anything. She doesn't look at the food. She's just literally sitting there, and then she gets up and walks out. We don't even remember what she was doing. She probably just was asking him something. We don't know. Somebody took that video and like turned us into the state of Tennessee. This guy called me from the state. He's like, God. He's like, I'm like 3 levels up from who's even supposed to get this letter.
It was my phone, and it rings, and we get a message, and so we're like, oh, somebody wants dinner.
He said, this is Eric. I was calling you about BAMFoods. Can you call me back? So I call him back. Hey, it's Annie with BAMFoods. This is Eric so-and-so with the state of Tennessee. And I'm like, hey, do you need lunch delivered?
That's not a good feeling.
And I don't know who sent me this letter. They sent it anonymously. He's like, I'm not the guy who gets this letter. I'm three levels up from that guy. somebody went out of their way to send this to me. They're referencing your kids. He's like, I'm not going to come to your house. I'm not really actually going to do anything, but you need to know that like someone is upset that you're cooking out of your house. And right now during COVID, they're making exceptions. And there was a whole bill trying to be passed for like musicians, chefs, and something else. Some other group of people where they were allowing you to do business out of your home where you normally probably shouldn't have been. And we could have operated under the cottage law, except that we have pets. So technically shouldn't have.
We looked into it and we were in like the green light of everything except for the pets. Because there was like less than 100 meals a week and like all these things. And we're like, oh, we're good. Because we're not doing that many. We couldn't. I was at home. We would max out at like 8 or 10 orders in a day. And we would do 5 or 6 days in a week and give me a day.
We have big old dogs. Like they weren't countertop surfing. They were not in the kitchen. Like we were confident that we were not doing anything unsanitary or unsafe.
Right.
And we talked to some friends of ours who are attorneys and they're all like, look, until that letter comes in the mail that tells you have to stop, you just keep going and providing for your family. And that's what we did. And we kept doing that but we were scared enough that we found this place and got into this.
That
place.
letter made this building a thing.
We were like, oh no, we don't want any kind of problem like that. We don't want our faces on the news.
No, we were like,
oh my gosh.
We were scared. We were like trying to start a business and we were like, we're getting shut down. Like we're not even going to be a business.
Right. Before you even get started.
We were waiting like the white truck at the end of the driveway. Every time somebody would be down. Yeah, people park at the end of our driveway because it's like you get out of cell service.
The cell phone service drops off, so people always parked it. So then we're like,
any white truck that's down, it's like, put the dogs outside. Like it's time. They're coming up here, and it never happened. We never, and we once again
never got a letter, never anything. We came here to Columbia, and
let me say that phone call wasn't like a calm one. I go out on the back porch, and she's bawling, crying.
I'm like telling the guy, I'm like, we have 5 children. Like, what are we supposed to do? He's like, I don't know, ma'am. I'm just telling you I got this letter. And you could tell he was probably a younger than me person, maybe hadn't dealt with a frantic wife before. He was like, really I wish I wouldn't have called you. I'm hanging up.
Yeah, it was really confusing because I thought we were getting like a food order. And then I come out and she's like, having a
you would never expect
phone trying to be like this is all we're doing and that was definitely like, okay, now what are we gonna do? And so we
kept going. That's that.
I never stopped.
I love it.
I took 10 days off because I was like on bed rest.
He had a skateboarding injury.
Other than that, we like for 16 months we were cranking out food, doing what we could do.
We got this space, and then an opportunity presented itself for us to feed a company in Spring Hill called Groove Life.
Yeah.
Shout out Groove Life. We love you.
Yeah. I love you.
They are our biggest client. We didn't have a client that big, and something Braiden has always done, which was also my idea. I take full credit. Whenever he goes for a job interview, I'm like, oh, well, you're taking food because you're a chef. Why would you take a piece of paper with your resume on it? You're a chef,
That's really smart.
He was the only chef that interviewed with them that showed up with food, which blows my mind. Like, what?
They interviewed like three others, and I guess I was the only one that brought anything to eat. And I didn't like bring a huge amount. I brought like 2 small pans of food. And, the owner sat down, and it was funny because he wanted like health. Let's eat healthy.
Macros, sugars.
Got started with the group, and there was like 100 of them signed up. And after like a month, they're like, we don't like the healthy stuff.
They're like, why are we on a diet plan?
Yeah, can we have like mashed potatoes, stuff like that?
We don't want any more cauliflower. We're like, sorry, that's what they said.
We take feedback. I used to get that instant feedback of restaurants where like I could stand at the corner of the kitchen and watch that person eat the plate and could see if they liked it or not, and then get the feedback. Well, when we started doing food delivery, it was like
dropping.
We wouldn't hear anything from so many people, and then they would just order again. We were like, all right, no news is good news. So it changed our. I don't even know how to explain.
And we were
it.
doing so much crazy stuff, but during the home meal delivery, we were delivering crawfish boils to people's houses with all this stuff. We'd send them the paper to roll out. Like we were, so he was still like flexing that muscle. In the beginning, it was stuff to like appeal to the masses, like lasagna, chicken pot pie. But then once he started really going, he started doing really flexing and doing cool stuff that was not
like Indian dishes to like actual like Creole, Cajun, French, Italian, like just keeping variety so they can order it too, but also like, look what I can do.
And it was $65. It was $65.
It was a steal of a deal for a delivered meal.
But we got into Groove Life, and
what was the timing of that between like starting out of necessity and then getting your first big corporate client?
The home meal delivery in March of 2020 out of our house. We signed the lease on this building in July of 2020, but it didn't go into effect. I think, we started looking at it in July, but didn't like finalize the lease till September, I feel like. Right?
It was a slow process.
And then we got Groove Life. July of 2021 is when we got Groove Life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we kind of phased out the home meal delivery. At first, we tried to keep doing both, but it just wasn't feasible because he was feeding their entire staff. And at first, he was doing it by himself, and he still pretty much does it by himself. A few times we've had line cooks that come in and help.
Yeah, I've had prep cooks and like chefs that help me execute events and stuff, and I would be able to bring them in and be like, oh, I got Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. You can work half days pretty much and get good pay enough to get them to commit. But it usually ends up turning back into us. As of right now, I'm back down to no prep help. So I'm doing meals for 80 by my lonesome. I get the kids to like help me portion out like some syrup for the waffles or salsas for the burritos and stuff like that. But I'm doing all the cutting, dicing, slicing, cooking, roasting, packing, so it's like, you just got to keep moving. And then until we get the next bigger break and we can really commit to like bringing staff on. Because we have event staff
and that's
a lot.
That's what I was going to roll into too with the timeline is that we started doing the Groove in 2021 and things were still weird then, kids were going back to school, but they were in masks. Like it still was kind of like weird. And we still weren't doing like the big catering gigs like we wanted to do, even though we had Groove Life. And that was super cool. And, more than we ever thought we would
helped us break out of the being like, oh, gatherings can't happen. We were hungry for gatherings, for events, for parties.
We've lived in Leapers Fork for a long time. There's just super strong sense of community there. People like to do community events. People like to know their neighbors, even though we don't live in neighborhoods or subdivisions. And especially during COVID, all of us out there were so isolated because we don't live in neighborhoods. Like you really had to really try to see people, and then not everybody was hanging out. So it was just a weird time. And then in 2022, we were like, okay, how can we start making events happen again? We're not getting hired for them because
I think we did one big wedding.
We did a big wedding for Molly and Reed Kitchens. Was our first ever big wedding. And we were like, we need to be flexing on getting back into the catering, and we can't just do Groove Life. We have to keep that momentum going that we had with the home meal delivery. And all of our people in Leapers Fork were like, we miss your food. We miss your food. So we came up with the idea of doing a pop-up dinner party. And the first one we did was in April 2022?
At the end.
At the end. At the Leapers Fork Inn, which is like right on the main drag. It's such a cute spot.
Yeah.
It can be used as
it's so cute.
We've actually catered quite a few weddings there now since then. But we were like, let's do this huge party. Let's sell tickets. And then all those people will remember that they like our food. And hopefully they'll hire us to cater for their companies. Like maybe we can get another client like Groove, and our thought was we would just do it through time. And so we sold 65 tickets to the first one. And
this is all through your Instagram?
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing but Instagram.
Wow.
Our friend JT Hodges came and did music, and people loved it. We set the tables in a U shape out under this beautiful lit area. Everybody could see each other. It was the first time a lot of people had really been to like a dinner party since COVID, because it was just that rolling into the beginning of 2022 where some people were like, it's over, I'm going back to normal. And other people were like, wait, you shouldn't,
Yeah.
So it was amazing. I'm so proud of it.
Business Partners Podcast is proudly brought to you by Apple and Anchor.
Apple and Anchor create strategy-first brands and websites for startups.
As a busy business owner, you may have a great idea for your branding or website, but feel overwhelmed about what's required to bring it to life.
We provide a clear, step-by-step plan for your brand strategy, visual identity, and web design.
Check out our work and book a clarity call at appleandanchor.com.
And now, back to the show.
What did you make, Braiden?
The gorgeous purple soup.
So that meal, so most of our dinners, we do 4 courses, seated, plated. We do full service. So we're like, you sit down, you don't get up unless you need to go use the restroom.
But this was the first one, so no one knew that yet.
We were really, so we were really like, I was super anxious. I planned out the menu. I tried to be really particular and still make it elevated, but like not chop my limbs off and have everybody come out here and
we didn't have
we
didn't really have staff yet. Like our staff had never done it. We'd never done this. Like never done it.
No, it was our first put it all together with our own group and let's do this thing. But I did this klotnik soup. So it's actually Polish and it's a yogurt based soup, but it's beets. So I did beets and yogurt. So it was just like super bright, like purple people eater and a black
like a magenta purple. Like wow, what is that?
Yeah, it was
purple.
like glowing.
Yeah. Wow.
I made some like roasted garlic rye croutons. It had some rainbow chard and some like herb oil. Like that was the first thing I put in front of these people to try. And I was like, it's a cold soup. Please enjoy it. A lot of people don't like beets. A lot of people don't like cold soup. So I was like,
yeah, that's a bold choice.
This is my way of trying to be like, give it a shot. I promise, unless you're allergic to this, you're going to probably enjoy it. And
people were drinking out of their bowls.
It was actually like it lightened the mood when I looked over and people were like scraping and drinking.
That is awesome.
Okay, I think we know. We're on the right track.
Yeah.
A guy telling us about how it took him back to his time in Germany. Like when I have any client that eats anything, any guest, anybody eat anything, and it reminds them of a time once upon a time, like that. That's it right there. I'm good. Like that's my bonus. That's so it was so good.
But I did the soup, and then I made a grilled green salad. So all the salad itself was every part of it was grilled. So I had like zucchini, kale. I think I did broccoli and one other green, but it all ended up getting plated up a certain way, and it's like it ate well. I don't remember every component to it, but it was actually like a grilled salad. And then I had a chimichurri pork that I did with these like baked apples, like in
a roulade. So it was super.
I tried to make it on the video. And then I did a chocolate duo of a dessert because it was my first time doing dessert on my own as we're trying to create something. So I did these little chocolate truffles, and then I'm trying to think of it was the smoked peanut bread. It was a trio. It was a little. I made a smoked peanut brittle, and then I had a little tart, and I made a truffle. So it was just like 3 little things.
My stomach is growling.
Or we could clean up and like get the dishes, bust off the table and say like, hey, thanks. People were like, when's the next one? When's the next one? And
amazing.
It was like,
that's what I'm wondering. When's the next one?
Figure it out. Like we got, hold on, we'll try and do something. And we had Leaper's Fork Distillery. We specifically invited to this dinner
the owners
because I've wanted to do something with them since they have come about. I actually watched them start it, age it, start barreling it. I walked in one day and they were barreling their 1,000th barrel. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Can I take a picture? So I invited the owners and we were like, please bring some booze. I want to buy your booze so we can serve it at this event. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of the night,
we had been maybe a little persistent in hounding them for a while. I had Braiden go over there quite a few times. Our friend Kendra Anderson, we love you, has worked there for a long time. She was always saying, what about BAM? What about BAM? Like, we should let them do something here. Because they've always they do cornhole and drinks outside on the weekends, and they have food trucks and stuff. So we could easily set up. But Lee Kennedy came over to Braiden, shook his hand, and was like, I would be happy for you to serve my booze.
Yeah, I asked him, I was like, what do I owe you? And he just was like, nothing. And he was like, I want to basically sponsor your dinners.
Wow.
And every time we did an event, we'd contact them. We'd say, hey, we're doing these drinks. Could we have this? And they would just gift it to us. And it was that was like a huge part of us being like, all right, we're going to do this because we have a local connection. We're doing all these local dinners. And it turned into being from 1 to, we did 7.
We did 7 that first season.
Wow.
All outdoor. So,
yes, we did. The next one we did was out in Santa Fe at our friends Mike and Patricia Hall's house. And they loaded up all of our guests on a wagon ride and took them down into a hall where we had a beautiful table set. And in what normally is a hayfield, they mowed it down and Mike put up the lights. It just blew people's minds. Braiden can cook without power or water. He sets up his shop and he just does it. And we did it over and over again now. But those first few, the whole first year last year, and all of them, they're all special and they're all hosted at places that are owned by either private property or a venue where the owners just have believed in us and have been like, okay, you can do it. Like, I'm gonna let you use my space. And sometimes they take a cut and sometimes they don't. The largest one we've done, the largest 4-course one we've done is at the Leapers Fork Distillery. They let us do one and we did a pairing dinner and we sold 72 tickets and it was incredible. Pat McLaughlin played. Braiden did beef tartare and
that was bourbon paired dinner. So like we don't just do course dinners. Sometimes we do paired, like purposely paired with drinks. Other times we'll have like a cocktail hour, half hour, and you can get started and then you sit down and sip on your wine, beer, whatever you'd like. But try and keep variety, it's like what thing we were starting. If we felt like we were starting to kind of like be redundant, she was like, all right, so now you need to get in the water and cook in the water and they will be on the side of the creek.
We did that. People love that. Because we started doing our first dinner in the creek was for the Harpeth River Conservancy group. And so we got our first little taste of like putting the guests in the water. And it's the coolest thing.
The pictures of that on your Instagram look so cool. So it's at BAMFoods _catering, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We actually, our oldest children have come like one at a time and like worked a creek dinner just at different times because they're finally
awesome.
Cool.
We love to have them with us when we can, but the little ones are still too little. It's just the older 3 that we can trust.
Sure.
Like gotten to see what we do. Because it's like, we could tell them all day and they can watch a video, but it's like, no, come actually see what we do. So my son was at the last one we just did, and it was pretty cool. It's nice to hear them like talk about it afterwards too, and be like,
hear them talk to each other.
Like this, we did this and that, and it's cool.
That's great.
They see I don't just make food. I'm not just cooking. It's like we put on a show. We try and provide an experience and make a unique dining experience.
Yeah.
This year, Harpeth River Conservancy, they finally let me do the decor for the table, where in the past they've used an event planner and he's always done it, and he's done it the same a couple years in a row, like literally exactly the same florals, the same napkins, everything. And I'm like, really would love to do these clear chairs and
those are cool.
beautiful, and I've always wanted to do it. Would you please pay for it so we can do it? The chairs are like $25 a piece to rent. Like It's insane. And it was 75 people that we did. So it was a 90-foot long table. And Braiden and I got the moss. We paid for the moss, but they paid for everything else. And we used our own tables. And our middle daughter, Lorelai, helped me put 90 feet of real moss on this table.
Wow.
She loves texture and arts and crafts and loves just piecing things together. So she loved it. Don't call the child labor people.
That's awesome.
No,
they like to do it.
Things in front of them. It's like eventually they're interested. It's like we don't make them do it, but yeah, they have to tag along sometimes.
Right.
Now it's like they're actually excited to come do things and asking to come work an event. It's like, we got to pick and choose. If it's our event, yes.
Yeah.
If we're hired,
you can't come.
Yeah.
If people want to find out about the next BAM dinner you're hosting, where can they find that?
On Instagram, and we always sell our tickets on Eventbrite. So if you are on Eventbrite, you can just look up BAM Foods and you can follow us. We this season have partnered with a place called Gratitude Ranch to do some of their farm to tables, and they're out kind of more in the Fernvale area of Leapers Fork. For people that are familiar with the Franklin area, it's like just way out there.
Yeah.
Go to Leapers Fork a little further, and then you'll be there.
We love to hear about the different couples' experiences working together, because obviously it's working with your partner is different than working with just a coworker.
Well, we have to spend a lot of the beginning working parts of it separate, because she's doing all the phone calls, the emailing, and the getting people to commit, pay the invoices, get your deposits, and I'm putting menus together, cooking the stuff for the parties that we're actually doing that time of. So we spend a lot of separate work time, but when it comes to the event, there's no better to have to work it with than her. If we can manage it, if it's 20 or less, depending on the style of party, we're the best team. I joke about it. We get paid to go on dates. I'm like, we get to hang out at the party. Yeah, we got to work.
Aww.
But as soon as conversation, you're like, oh, I got to do this. It's like we get paid to hang out at the party. And we get to leave when we're done.
Some clients are really weird where they they want you to be part of their party. And we're like, no, but we have to work. We have to be over here. And
I'll make
we
her get
friends.
A drink from them or something. But usually, they beg us to sit and eat a lot. And I'm like,
and we're we can't sit with you guys.
I'm
we can't do that. Thank you very much. We cannot do that.
So the different on-site experiences and stuff, we both know what we're trying to achieve. It kind of goes without saying, she's fixing stuff behind the scenes as well as I am, but mine's on the culinary side and hers is on the hospitality and service.
And we've been together for 15 years. We've always been on opposite schedules. When we first got together, he was the PM kitchen manager at Puckett's in Franklin, and I worked for JP Morgan Chase. I had an 8 to 5 job. First time he called me was at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, don't call me at 2 a.m. And I hung up on him. And then I called him back at 8 a.m. And I'm like, hey, sorry about that. You can't call me. And then proceeded to hang out with him every single night till 3, 4 in the morning after that. So,
how did you initially meet?
So, we went to Sunday school together when we were little kids. So I remember him from then because he was kind of a troublemaker, and my dad was one of the Sunday school teachers. He would always say, that little asshole, Braiden. So I knew who he was. So we met in a bar when we were 21, and I'm like, are you Braiden Mallon? And he's
the asshole from Sunday school?
I'm like, don't you remember me?
That's
from
me.
Sunday school? And he did not remember me at all.
No, it definitely caught me off guard when she asked me my full name. And I was just like, should I know you? And she explained to me, and I was
I
like,
bet you
hell no.
remembered. I bet you remembered her dad.
No, I don't even think he remembered my dad. Listen, he was always bad. There was a lot of teachers that didn't like him.
I wasn't a good student.
He was a wild child, but he's channeled the wildness into a career of being able to do
just push through it.
10,000 things at once.
So we hung out that whole night. We ended up right next door to the bar is a Steak and Shake. And so we went over there, and my buddy, who's like my lifelong best friend,
Peter,
he was in town in Knoxville, and I was like, we're going out every night. So we convinced them to come over to Steak and Shake. And I think he and I bought like another like 12 pack, and we're like going in and out. Like it was just, we were just, and I think 2 days later, I reached out, I gave her a call, and we've been with each other every day since, other than some
and that call was at 2 a.m, right?
Really?
Yeah. The longest we
recommend that.
The longest we spent apart is when I went to rehab, because I quit drinking 4 months after we started dating.
Yeah. So then when he was 22, he went to rehab, and when he got out, at that point, we had only been dating almost 4 months. And so we just did the totally rational thing and moved in together.
All the things they tell you not to do in like rehab program, they're like, don't get in a new relationship.
But really, like,
and I was like, I don't have a choice. I was like, I'm moving in with this.
He didn't
lady.
have like any sober friends. And I was living with my mom, and that was really hard on me and my mom's relationship. And he couldn't live with his parents. They always still had alcohol in the house and didn't seem like not have alcohol
in the house. My brother was living with them at that time, and he was a regular drinker, and it was like I didn't have a good option.
And you can't quit drinking and expect the whole world to quit drinking, right? Like we just decided for us, we were just going to do it. And that's just how our whole relationship has been. We just decide we're going to do something, we just do it. And we don't.
Good for you.
Good.
But the hard parts, I know you want us to talk about the hard parts. The hard parts is always, we don't get enough sleep. We're always tired. We have 6 children who need our love and attention, and, you know.
Yeah, I either feel like I'm doing a good job at work, or vice versa, not a good job. You know, I
very much relate.
Life, and if you care, you feel like you're not doing good enough. You got to do better. Like,
yes,
in recovery, I haven't done like 12-step. I'm 15 years.
Congrats!
thirsty.
That's a huge deal.
That's amazing.
A really long time, and I don't plan on stopping. And you know, they like all the things that they've put in place and given you tools to like work through that, and it's like we've kind of created our own tools and our own system, and it's like it's not perfect. I stress her out. I wear her down just from my ways, and like I'm addicted to work, and but work it's our family's thing now. I always was like proud to go to work and work where I worked, and I've never actually felt anywhere near as good as I do about what we do. And I say we, it's us. You know, I cook, she does everything else, and then we try to split the duties outside of it. And that alone, I mean, every afternoon, evening, we have something else, you know, in regards to sports or activities. And so like I try so hard to be there and do those. And it's a challenge. We're tired, but we're both able to be there more than we ever were before.
Yeah. We're always behind on laundry. If we're a little wrinkly when you think of us, our socks probably won't match. But we find this amazing thing called laundry care, though. And if you guys don't know about that, you should look into it. It's
laundry what?
Laundry care. It's an app on your phone. You can bag up as much laundry as you can fit into a 13-gallon kitchen bag. And you put it on your front porch. They come and get it. You bring it back 48 hours later, sorted by size, folded. And now we found this really sweet girl. You can, if you find somebody you like, you can stay with that person. So your order always goes to them. This girl ties our kids' little undies and socks into little bundles.
Oh my gosh.
Attention to detail.
That's amazing.
It's $26
that is a hot tip.
$26 a bag. It makes no sense. But it happens. It's real. Wow. I send up to 10 13-gallon bags at a time, and she brings them back in 2 days.
10. Wow.
10.
That is so worth it, though, to have that time back.
It is. My God. I don't even get the time back. Really, I don't even have the time in the first place.
That's true.
It's just delegating the work. Some of my staff is always telling me I need to delegate more. I need to delegate. And I'm like, well, I'm delegating the laundry
good for
nothing
you.
else.
Hey, that's a perfect place to start. Well, this has been such an amazing story. We loved hearing how you guys started and how you've progressed. Can you tell us what your future for the vision you have in mind for BAM Foods? Where do you want to take it?
It's been many different things.
We're dreamers and we're doers, but we're also ADDers. So, we are constantly looking at each other going, what should we do next? We have a friend who has a mobile kitchen, not a food truck. It's literally a mobile kitchen that could be amazing for us. We're toying with the idea of, do we need that? Because then we could load up our kids and our tables and chairs, and we could be like really crazy and drive to some place we've never been and find somewhere and set up a dinner party and just do a dinner party there just to see if we can do it.
That's very cool.
That's one thing. We would love to have a restaurant in Leaper's Fork, but not anywhere else. Like, we don't want to be in anywhere else. And that probably won't ever happen. If that happens, that'd be super cool. But the septic, there's lots of issues with the septic out there. There's lots of rules about new building and things like that. And so that probably can't happen, but we'll never say never. Maybe it will. We want to do bigger, better dinner parties. We always have, I have a million ideas of different things I want to do that are different than just the BAM dinners. Right now we're working on the idea of doing an adult prom in the spring.
We will be there.
Yes, please come. I'm working on
that sounds amazing.
Yes, and it'll be fun and it'll have great food, but it won't be so food based. We're going to partner with some other people to basically make it like a really big fun party.
So fun.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be in Leaper's Fork. We have a few different options I'm going over with people, so
nice.
We'll see.
So are corporate events kind of in your future?
Corporate events?
Yeah, corporate, because you mentioned the one client that it was a big client, and I don't know if that was like something you were trying to pursue more of. Because our friend, shout out Lauren Brady, we found out about you guys through, she was going to a funeral that you guys catered.
Oh.
Yeah. And she raved about your food.
Our biggest event this year so far was for the DaVita Corporation. It's a big dialysis company.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were celebrating a decade-long project wrapping up that completely changes the way that they do their dialysis reporting. And I've learned so much about dialysis I never even knew I needed to know. But we did a huge event. It was supposed to be 250 people. It ended up being more like 300.
Yeah.
Braiden did an entire Indian menu because they have a large amount of their staff is Indian. And it was so cool. So we would love more corporate clients. We love working for Groove Life. Would love to pick up another lunch program like what we do with Groove Life. Right now we're doing a series of lunches in Franklin with an organization called Faithfully Restored, which is an outreach for mothers who've
They're
lost
a client
children.
of ours.
Yes.
I was working on some of their stuff earlier today.
Yeah, Jamie Hurd and Jamie Hamilton are good friends of ours, and we love their mission.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we work with another group called Never Alone Widows. We're about to do their annual retreat where we cater for the entire week that they're here. Braiden has done 3. We're about to do our 4th movie production catering at a studio in Hill. So we're just always doing. We didn't even talk about the movie production catering, but that's insane.
You just say yes.
When I did it,
you say yes.
As long as the budget works, yes. Our end game goal is not really a one thing. It's 10
things.
We just want to be able to actually enjoy each other and our kids and stuff, and still do what we do.
We want to take them on more trips. We want to do more stuff with them. They're only little for so long, and our old ones, it's like our oldest just turned 12. So she's still kind of little in the grand scheme of things, but not really,
Yeah.
So our littlest is about to turn 2, and we just want to do more with them, and we have to be more successful to do all those things we want to do. So
I feel ya.
That's the goal. And then long term, we're going to be really old people living on a beach somewhere with a chili shack. We change it up all the time. It's either going to be Annie's chili shack.
Who doesn't want chili when you're sitting on the beach?
Oh no! Actually, now you said that out loud. Maybe I don't want chili.
All right. So last question. Is there anything we haven't asked that you wish we would have or we should have?
What do you think?
We didn't actually ask a lot because you guys are just great storytellers. So
sorry.
No, you're great. You're great storytellers.
No,
It's great.
I actually love that y'all didn't ask me what my favorite thing to cook is, because that's like the one question everybody asks. What's your favorite thing to cook? And I'm like, what is your favorite thing to eat? Because that's my favorite thing. Like I don't have.
That's a great answer.
I have too many. I love making so many different things.
Yeah.
Because it really is like the hardest. People ask me that, and I get lost because I just
Yeah.
And I start thinking about all the stuff I've learned in the last 15 years versus the stuff I like the first 20 years. And, so it's, I feel like that. I feel like it was good. I feel like we, we're like y'all said, we're decent storytellers. We got some stuff to tell.
Yes, you are.
Not all of it's really constructive or productive, but we'll tell you.
It's very inspiring. I'm very inspired by your story. Well, thank you guys for sharing your story with us. It was really nice talking with y'all.
Thanks for inviting us on. Yeah. Thanks for having us. We hope people want to listen to it.
Yes, our first podcast experience. So thank you.
But I'm obsessed with podcasts.
Oh, nice.
Podcasts all the time.
She does.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And we can't wait for the next BAM event.
We're looking forward to it.
Blow your mind.
I can't wait for my mind to be blown.
We try and undersell and overproduce, because that was with home meal delivery was the thing. People would get mad because they'd be like, well, it just said red beans and rice. It didn't say red beans and rice with pork tenderloin and this and that. And I was like, well, just get it and be happily surprised.
If I had known it was going to be that, I would have gotten it.
So I like not posting menus so that there's a little bit
little mystery.
You're coming to eat, you can tell me what you can't eat, but we like to surprise folks and make it.
Well, when is your next one?
The menu before the BAM dinner, we don't put the menu out. So I invite people to send in their dietary restrictions and whatnot, but we don't post the menu. We want you to be surprised.
That's very cool. Is your next one coming up?
October 28th, we'll be at Gratitude Ranch for their farm to table.
Awesome.
It's probably halfway sold out, I would guess, by now, if not more. Their events sell out pretty quickly. We are going to have the Deltas there with us. If y'all have not heard of them, you should definitely look them up. They're amazing. Deltas.
Is that a bluegrass band?
They're kind of a bluegrass Americana. They do a lot with a washboard and spoons. They're brothers.
Dramanica.
Yeah, they're brothers, Ted.
Nice.
Eagle.
Those are the ones we saw at Izzy's.
Oh, seriously? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, they're so good. We bought their record.
Scroll through our Instagram. There's a little clip of them playing in the creek for us.
Cool.
When they started playing that night, and I've seen them play over and over again, and when they started playing that night, I'm like,
they're so good.
Yeah, they're great.
They came to the Southern Living Idea Home with us and played, and that was a lot of people from out of town, especially New York and California people. So they were like, who are these guys? With their little slats, spoons, and we just love them.
Such a cool sound. Okay, say that name again so everybody can go look them up.
The Deltas, and it's with a Z on the end.
Okay. That's awesome. Well, everybody go look at Eventbrite or BAMFoods _catering on Instagram to see when they can eat some of your tasty food.
Yeah, if you like looking at pictures of food, do it.
We
Family
also,
parties.
what else can we say? We will be at Hatcher Dairy on December 3rd for a
Oh,
big
cool.
Christmas event. We
I'm gonna
love the
take the
Hatcher
girls.
Dairy, we're great people. And I think we're going to do pictures with Santa and a whole breakfast buffet. It's going to be a family-friendly thing.
Fun.
Yeah. You can find out more about that on Hatcher Dairy. I think their social media is all just Hatcher Dairy.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. It was awesome chatting with y'all.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet you in person.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so
looking
much.
Look forward to it soon. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Business Partners.
Find out more about our guests and follow their businesses through the links in our show notes.
Don't forget to rate, review, and share the show with your favorite business partners.
Special thanks to our sponsor, Apple and Anchor.
Now let's get back to business.